Rome hunted the followers of Jesus. One by one, the apostles disappeared. Some were imprisoned. Some were tortured.
Many were executed. Peter was crucified. Andrew was killed for his faith. Thomas died preaching in a distant land. Rome believed that if it eliminated the witnesses, the message would die with them. But one man remained. His name was John. Rome tried to silence him too. According to early Christian tradition, they even attempted to execute him. When that failed, they exiled him to a lonely island far from the world he once knew. Rome thought exile would end his voice forever. Instead, it became the place where one of the most mysterious books in history was written, the Book of Revelation. This is the story of the last witness.
They speak his name in whispers, but whispers grow into revolutions.
What are your orders?
Find them, break them, make their faith bleed.
They're closer than yesterday.
Then we stand closer to God.
Open in the name of Rome!
You speak his name.
I will speak it even while I die.
Peter!
Good.
My skin is not my faith.
You Christians don't yield easily.
Do you regret following him?
No, I regret only that Rome thinks this ends the story.
Peter is gone. Andrew, Philip, Thomas.
Then I will remember them all. And I will not be silent.
In the 1st century, the Roman Empire ruled nearly the entire known world. Its armies marched with unmatched discipline. Its roads stretched across continents. Its emperors demanded loyalty that often felt like worship. Rome believed itself eternal, but beneath the shadow of this massive empire, a quiet movement began to spread. It started with a teacher from a small town in Judea, Jesus of Nazareth. He spoke about love, forgiveness, humility, and a kingdom not built by human power. His message was unlike anything people had heard before. Many believed he was more than a teacher. They believed he was the Son of God. Rome eventually executed him by crucifixion outside the walls of Jerusalem. To Roman authorities, it seemed like another rebellion crushed.
But something unexpected happened. His followers claimed that Jesus had risen from the dead, and they began telling everyone. The people spreading this message were not powerful leaders. They were fishermen, laborers, travelers. Yet they spoke with a conviction that shocked those who heard them. Peter, once a fisherman from the Sea of Galilee, became one of the boldest voices of the early church. His brother Andrew traveled far, sharing the same message. Thomas journeyed east into lands many Romans had never even seen. Philip preached across Asia Minor. Bartholomew carried the message into distant regions. Wherever they went, communities began to form. Small groups gathered quietly in homes, often by the light of simple oil lamps.
Ate together, shared meals, and encouraged one another to remain faithful. They believed something extraordinary had happened, that death itself had been defeated. To Rome, this message sounded dangerous. The Roman Empire tolerated many religions, but there was one rule that could not be broken: loyalty to the emperor. Citizens were expected to offer sacrifices to Roman gods and acknowledge the emperor as divine. Christians refused. To them, worship belonged only to God. What began as a small religious disagreement quickly became a political problem. Roman authorities started seeing Christians not just as believers, but as potential rebels. And so, the hunt began. Soldiers searched cities for gatherings of Christians. Informants whispered names to Roman officials. Homes were raided in the middle of the night, names to Roman officials.
Families were dragged from hidden meeting places and interrogated. Believers learned to gather quietly in secret rooms or underground spaces. Fear spread through the communities. But something else grew alongside it: courage. Rome believed public executions would frighten people into abandoning the faith, so punishments were often carried out where crowds could see them. The goal was simple: make an example of them. But something unexpected happened. When Christians were brought before Roman authorities and ordered to deny their faith, many refused. Some spoke calmly about the teachings of Jesus. Others prayed even for the soldiers who were about to execute them. Peter was eventually arrested. According to early Christian tradition, he was sentenced to crucifixion in Rome. But Peter made a request. He asked to be crucified upside down, believing he was not worthy to die in the same way as his teacher. Andrew also faced crucifixion. Thomas, who once doubted the resurrection, traveled far east before being killed for preaching about Jesus. Philip and Bartholomew met similar fates. Rome intended these executions to destroy the movement. Instead, they strengthened it. Stories of courage spread quickly among believers, and people watching began asking a dangerous question. Why would anyone willingly die for something they knew to be false? Years passed. One by one, the original apostles disappeared from the world. Most had been killed. Only one remained, John. John had been one of the youngest disciples of Jesus. He had witnessed many of the most important moments of Jesus' ministry. He stood near the cross during the crucifixion and later claimed to see the risen Christ. Now he lived in a world where almost all his fellow apostles were gone. Yet he continued teaching. He encouraged believers to remain faithful and reminded them of the message they had received. His influence could not be ignored. Eventually, Roman authorities arrested him. They demanded that he stop preaching about Jesus. John refused. According to early Christian tradition, Roman officials attempted to execute John by placing him in a cauldron of boiling oil. The story says he survived. Those who witnessed it were astonished. Whether seen as history, tradition, or legend, the story reflects something important. Early Christians believed John was protected for a purpose. Unable to silence him through execution, Roman authorities chose another solution: exile. John was sent to the island of Patmos. Patmos was a rocky island in the Aegean Sea, used by Rome as a place of exile for prisoners and political enemies. It was isolated, harsh, and lonely. For many prisoners, it was a place where the world forgot them.
Rome believed that sending John there would finally silence him. But something extraordinary happened on that island. In the quiet of exile, John began to experience visions. Visions unlike anything he had ever seen before. John later wrote that he heard a voice behind him, a voice that sounded like a trumpet. Suddenly, the world around him seemed to change. He described seeing a throne in heaven surrounded by radiant light, lightning, and thunder. Around the throne were mysterious beings proclaiming holiness without end. At the center stood a powerful symbol, a lamb that had been slain yet now stood alive in victory. John also described dramatic scenes of cosmic conflict, angels sounding trumpets, seals being opened, strange beasts representing forces of evil. His visions were overwhelming, but they all pointed toward the same message. In the end, evil would not win. Justice would come, and creation would be made new, the book that changed history. John carefully wrote down everything he saw. These writings eventually became the final book of the New Testament, the Book of Revelation. It remains one of the most mysterious and debated texts in religious history. Some people believe it describes events that already happened in the ancient world. Others believe it reveals the future of humanity. But for the early Christians facing persecution under Rome, the message was clear. The empire that seemed unstoppable was not truly eternal. No empire is. The story of Revelation is not just about visions. It is about courage. It is about people who held on to their faith even when the world around them tried to crush it. The apostles died. The martyrs suffered. John was exiled to a lonely island. Rome believed it could silence them all. But history tells a different story. The Roman Empire eventually fell. Its emperors became names in history books. Yet the message carried by those early believers continued to spread across the world, and the words written by the last witness on a rocky island are still read today. John spoke, and the world never forgot.